think one of the great gifts we feel in this film is we're showing you a man who has done the work on himself. And this is what you get. You get this extraordinary sense of joy, of love, compassion, empathy, a sense of commitment. The Dalai Lama, when he talks, it's not for him. You know, people have asked me, has His Holiness seen the film? And yeah, we showed the film to him. He wasn't interested in seeing himself at all. He just wanted to see the old footage with his old friends. It's not about him. It's not about him at all.
Con Gaby Cam y Javier Ibarreche.
Mr. Gear, welcome to Estreno. It's such a beautiful honor for me to have you here to talk about this beautiful film, Wisdom of Happiness. And you know, my first question is, after decades of your commitment to this path and now having produced this film that feels like you're having a one-on-one session with Your Holiness, your perspective is truly unique. What is the most challenging spiritual teaching of Your Holiness that you're still personally working to integrate into your own life?
Oh, there's so many. You know, the crux of Buddhism, what the Buddha brought to this exploration of spirit, was he challenged whether or not we even exist as a separate human being. So he's challenging on a kind of quantum level, what is reality? And things that we just accept is that, of course I exist. You know, Riva, you exist as you appear to exist. If you explore even further, Riva doesn't exist the way she appears to exist. Richard doesn't appear to really exist the way he appears to exist. It's only an appearance. But the deeper reality is that there is no self. There's no hardcore boundaries of a person who is Richard or Riva. We're continually changing. We're an idea that's in motion. We're a creative story that's being written and rewritten all the time. So this, if you start to soften or damage or destroy or transform this idea of a self, then the ability to engage the world radically changes. And you're not protecting anything. Usually, you know, the violence of the world is we're protecting the self. But if you remove even the idea of a self, all the armoring, all the violence, all the stupidity, of course, has a tendency to just go away. There's no basis for it anymore. So this is the same for a human being, it's for our families, communities, countries, the same.
That is so beautiful. Thank you so much. And I wanted to ask you about maybe how did the process of making and being part of this documentary as producer challenge or deepen your own understanding of true compassion, not just as a feeling, but as a practical, actionable commitment, as taught and as we see in the film from the words of His Holiness.
You know, the original filmmakers who came to me, the Swiss filmmakers, one of them I had known, Manuel Bauer, was a still photographer and is still photographer and is committed to being around His Holiness for decades. So I've known him for decades. And he's quite shy, so I've not had long conversations with him, but I always kind of liked him. And so they came to me with this film and they brought it to New York and in a rough cut, very good rough cut, and played it for me and my wife. My wife was dissolved in tears and I was very moved. But I did feel some things about it could be even better. And one was the Buddhism. There were not Buddhists who made this film. So sometimes they were not getting it quite right. So we had to rethink this. So when I was in the editing room and I'm talking to the editor and I'm talking to my co-executive producer, an old friend of mine, Oren Moverman, I'm going back to my memory bank of all the teachings that I've had with the Dalai Lama in India, in Mongolia, other places in Asia, all over the world, private times, massive times, there'd be 500,000 people there. But I was in tears in the editing room just remembering all of these experiences I'd had with this extraordinary man and wanting to share that with the editor so he understood where this was coming from, what was important.
Definitely, that's fantastic. And we live in a world that is going too fast all the time. And it's a really polarized world we're living in today. I wanted to ask you about the documentary themes of unity and compassion. Those are deeply needed, What is the most pressing action step you hope viewers will feel spiritually compelled to take after watching this film?
I have been suggesting quite strongly sometimes that people see this in a movie theater and not at home, not on their computer, not on television, but actually have a social experience with this. Because I've seen this all over Europe. We're opening now in the US, and I'm sure we'll have the same experience in Mexico, is that the room changes. The social temperature, emotional, psychological, spiritual, it changes after spending this hour and a half with the Dalai Lama. The first words His Holiness says is, brothers and sisters. When the lights come up, a room full of strangers doesn't feel like strangers anymore. On some level, they feel like brothers and sisters. And that all of these kind of wonderful visions of possibility of how we can live together, how we can achieve these wonderful things that we would love to have for ourselves, our kids, our grandkids, future generations beyond that. It's all possible because at core, we really are brothers and sisters. We are completely interconnected and rely on each other. So please see this in a movie theater.
Definitely we will. I can't wait to have that. Like you say, as in the film says, we are social animals. His Holiness says it, we're social animals. So when you have that experience and you can feel that compassion, like that life, like sometimes we forget too fast that we are brothers and sisters. So I think this film will help us remember. And I wanted to ask you about consistency in any practice is the hardest part. How have you managed to the continuity and the consistency of your own spiritual practice, the daily training of the mind, as His Holiness says in the film, while navigating, of course, the demanding schedules of your career in film and your global advocacy, of course?
My first Buddhist practice was with Zen Buddhists, and they're quite strict. So that was good for me. And it was a daily practice. And I've been with His Holiness now 45 years, but then there was 5 or 10 years that I had Zen Buddhist Japanese teachers. So it's 50 years or more of a daily practice that I've had. But it's like anything, if you want to play the guitar, you practice it every day. You want to play the piano, you practice every day. So you want to become a great football player, you practice. That's the only way. And the spiritual life is the same. The Dalai Lama gets up at 3:30 in the morning and does his practice every day as a 90-year-old. And he's the Dalai Lama, and he's still working on his mind and his heart. So I think one of the great gifts we feel in this film is we're showing you a man who has done the work on himself. And this is what you get. You get this extraordinary sense of joy, of love, compassion, empathy, a sense of commitment. The Dalai Lama, when he talks, it's not for him. People have asked me, has His Holiness seen the film? And yeah, we showed the film to him. He wasn't interested in seeing himself at all. He just wanted to see the old footage with his old friends. It's not about him. It's not about him at all.
That's beautiful. It's about his words of action and how that can give us a big impact on what we need right now.
Well, it's an encouragement. Yeah, look, when we started making this film, I thought, the Dalai Lama's 90th birthday is coming up, and this would be a great centerpiece to this 90th birthday. There's a great history of him, there's an appreciation of him, and of his country. It's a history of Tibet also. But I think in the meantime, the year and a half that I've worked on this, is that the world has become more chaotic and more crazy in my own country, for sure, and in Europe, for sure, the Middle East, for sure. The things have gotten worse. So in some sense, I think this movie is a medicine. It's a corrective. And literally taking a deep breath, stepping back, and looking at the world we live in, and giving ourselves the opportunity to make a decision. Is this the world we want? Or do we want this other world where we're not afraid, where everyone has food? We have enough food, we have enough medicine, we have enough shelter, we have enough water for everybody. So let's make that world. It takes a lot of energy to make this world we're dissatisfied with. Let's use that energy and actually create this extraordinary possibility that is the center of who all of us really are.
That's beautiful. And, to become one big community, as from the start we should have been. The unity and compassion themes of the film are what stuck with me the most. And for my last question, I want to ask you, if you had to distill the entire spiritual message of Wisdoms of Happiness into a single sentence for a viewer who knows nothing maybe about His Holiness the Dalai Lama, what would that sentence be, and maybe why?
His Holiness is asked this kind of thing all the time, and he always says the same thing. He says his religion is kindness. His religion is a warm heart. And that's the beginning of everything. If you can achieve that, which is basically who we all respond to kindness. We all respond to someone who has a warm heart, a generous heart. If we embrace that and find that kindness in ourselves, everything in our world changes. It can't stay the same. It can't be cruel. It can't be dismissive. It can't be exclusive. The other things start to happen through kindness and a warm heart. It's inclusive. It's kind. It's warm-hearted. It's generous.
Thank you so much, Richard Gere, for being with us on the Estreno, for sharing your knowledge, for sharing this beautiful gift, as you say, this film is for the world. And of course, the experience to watch it in a big screen and have that communal experience. Thank you so much.
I think I'm doing a screening there in Mexico City with an audience, and I'm going to do a Q&A afterwards.
Oh my God. I will be there.
Sure.
Thank you so much. I'll be there. Thank you so much for your words, for sharing this with the world, and for having that amazing mission every day of learning through your life, through your experiences, how to be better, be a better world. As His Holiness.
All life is happiness, joyfulness. If you have inner peace, then you achieve happy life.
Con Gaby Cam y Javier Ibarreche.